I'm David Mason, the Director of Public Health, and we are doing public service announcement number 20 today. Today we have with us the Chair of the Selectmen, Dave Sampson, Bud Dunham, the Town Administrator, and we're going to be speaking about a town meeting that's coming up and some other subjects, and we will start with Chief Burke as far as the status of the coronavirus situation.
Morning, Dave. As of June 3rd, and we're in our 13th operational period, 13th week of this, which still is unbelievable. The numbers are good. We have 3 positive cases, 89 recoveries, 3 deaths, and no hospitalizations. So we are definitely trending in the right direction. This is one of the lower numbers that we've had, if you look at the chart, in a while. So very pleased with the direction things are going.
So that is beneficial to the governor's phasing. Also, I'm sure you're aware of the 4 phases that are occurring. Phase 2 comes up on Monday, June 8th, and we're looking at having restaurants and lodging opened to a degree. The town has sent out applications to restaurants to be able to move their seating capacity outside. That process is underway now. And so you'll see some form of outdoor seating, each facility establishment having their own configuration, so that you'll be able to dine outside and to help the local businesses also. But what we'll start with now is the discussion of what we have with town meeting coming up on June 15th. And we have the chair, Dave Sampson, to talk with us, and George Dunham to give us an outline of how things will work.
Thank you, Dave, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate again today as a regular guest on your program. Yeah. We are intending to have our annual town meeting coming up on June 15th, which is a week from this coming Monday. It's the time of year when we conduct our regular business for the town, including approving our annual budget. And very important that we try to accomplish that prior to the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. We've done a great amount of planning with the assistance of Chief Burke and Director Mason to do that in a safe fashion so that we can proceed with getting the approvals that we need as we move into the next fiscal year. So town meeting is everybody's opportunity to come to the table and be heard as we make business decisions for the town. And we've made some adjustments with the planning and input. I'm going to let Mr. Dunham talk a little bit about what folks can expect from how town meeting will be set up and where the differences are from what we're usually doing.
Yeah, so thanks, Dave. The decision has been to hold the actual town meeting, the main part of it, in the gymnasium at the high school, based on a number of site visits that both Dave Mason and J.J. Burke were a part of. It was clearly the most safe location to provide the service for town meeting and also to be able to provide all the social distancing protocols that have been established over the last several months. So in addition to having chairs set up on the floor that will be separated by at least 6 feet, we'll also have markings on the bleachers to show where people should sit. The air handling and air exchange system at the school is much better in the gym than it is in the auditorium. We've had meetings earlier this week with many of the technical staff to determine how we can do presentations, the sound, what sort of video we're going to do. And then also we need to think ahead depending on the number of people who show up. Where do we have backup overflow locations? So I believe based on rough numbers that the two of you have come up with, we believe we can fit about 350 people in the gym, about 250 people in the auditorium, and about 75 people in the high school library if either of those 2 overflow locations are needed. I've spoken with some municipal officials in other towns who've already held their town meetings, and they have all said that their turnouts have been much lower than normal. So we want as many people to come as can possibly come and that feel safe in coming to the meeting. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that that happens. The public microphones are going to be distanced, and fire department staff is going to wipe down the microphone after each use. We'll have a separate microphone for any questions from the selectmen and department heads. We're going to have the front of the room set up a little bit differently just to space out the people who'll be doing most of the talking. Town moderator Gary Blank is fully supportive of the gym. We think we're all set to go, and I should single out two people that have been incredibly helpful during the process, and that's the school facilities director, John Nelson, and the school's IT director, Bryce Harper, have really gone above and beyond to try to help us find a way to make this work and to do it as safely as possible. Our intent, I don't know if I said this a few seconds ago, is to have a fully set up gymnasium by next Wednesday so we can do a dry run internally just to make sure things are working. And Bryce came up with a great solution as we go to these overflow locations, if we have to, how to make that work effectively.
I know that there'll be those people that say, well, why not have it outdoors? I mean, as far as like the stadium. I mean, technically the stadium has the ability, but the challenge becomes with the weather and as far as posting for all the warrants and everything else. So
Yeah, so the weather was an issue. Tent rentals of anything that size are very expensive and quite uncomfortable inside when you do those. We were especially concerned about the video quality on any presentations if we did those outside in a tent environment. Not that we couldn't make it work, but we really feel everyone would be a lot safer and we could set things up better inside the high school. So that's why we've come up with the gym and the two other backup locations. And maybe you guys would want to talk about this, but all the, the safety protocols that you have practiced all along, we're going to be following in terms of decontaminating the facilities before the town meeting, having a ton of hand sanitizer. Hopefully people will bring facial coverings. If not, we're going to have some there for them. Town Clerk Taylor White has figured out how to socially distance the people checking you in. We'll probably have that at several locations, and we'll have, for lack of a better word, channeling devices set up to help work people through as they enter the gym and any of the other locations.
So just as it was arranged at voting, Chief Burke, we had, in terms of sanitizing, I mean, specifically, what should people expect for town meeting?
So two things. We'll bring in, we've been defogging our facilities for 10 weeks now. We'll bring the same individual in and do both sites. All three of these locations for town meeting will be done that day, so we'll have that squared away. And then in terms of our personnel, they will, every time somebody speaks, we'll wipe down the microphone, and our personnel will have personal protective equipment on. And again, like Bud said, we will have extra facial coverings for people that so choose. We can hand those out also.
All right, so as far as what's been set up,
Yes, and I think it's also very important to note, so the selectmen, along with Mr. Dunham, we've worked really hard to minimize the length of the warrant. So we've consolidated some articles, we've taken some articles and really delayed them for a fall special town meeting. So we're working hard to make the warrant be as brief as possible. And a lot of the things you're hearing about the actions we've taken to make sure a town meeting does happen. Most of our neighboring communities are also working hard to execute their town meetings prior to the end of the month of June, because it makes sense for a lot of reasons. The state has given us some opportunities if that doesn't happen for some reason, but getting the town meeting completed will be the best thing for the town. So in the interest of keeping the meeting as brief as possible and concise, we have shortened the warrant, as I mentioned, but we are also going to hold some pre-meetings next week on June 9th and June 11th, which will be virtual meetings. They're going to be via the Zoom platform, so the similar technology to what we've been using to hold Board of Selectmen meetings, but we're going to allow participation from the entire community, and we're going to have the information on how to participate in those meetings published in the newspaper this week. We'll be sending it out through the email distribution, so if you're signed up for the town's email list, you'll get that information, and you'll be able to either video into the meeting with your computer, you'll be able to call in with your telephone, or if you're not able to do those items, you'll also be able to email. We'll have an email address set up so you can email your questions in, or you'll be able to even call Town Hall and speak with a live person, and they will kind of translate for you and get your questions into the queue. So we're going to hold two sessions. They'll be next week. The first one on June 9th at 7 p.m., where we will focus on the 2021 operating budget for fiscal year 2021, which starts July 1st. And we'll also talk about the 100 Route 6A funding initiative for the additional spend on the 100 Route 6A building. And then on June 11th, we'll have a second online forum, also at 7 p.m. And on that forum, we'll be focusing on the senior exemption article, as well as the Henry T. Wing residences proposal. So the objective here is to facilitate discussion prior to the physical town meeting, hopefully get a lot of questions answered. I'm sure there's a lot of questions on both of these items. We expect they'll probably be the busiest two articles of the meeting, and we're trying to just get the information out there in advance so when we do come to the meeting, we can conduct the business at hand and execute quickly.
So I think those dates of June 9th and 11th are important because what we're looking to do is condense town meeting, not control it to prohibit access. I mean, there'll still be the opportunity to answer questions, but if you can get your question answered up front, these two dates provide that opportunity.
Right. And I think the other thing that's important to note too is so to participate in town meeting, you'll still need to physically come to town meeting, but we'll just have these virtual forums in advance.
In order to limit the amount of time we're involved in town meeting and all together
Right.
at that point. So, no, and I think the other thing to point out is a lot of our planning for events that are coming up, like town meeting and others, we're looking to hold the event prior to more arrival of people on the Cape. I mean, with lodging open up and restaurants, we're going to have more people and then thus potentially more exposure. So we're trying to do it now when we have more of a controlled community at this point. So, which is fabulous. Any other points we want to make on town meeting coming up? Okay, I think that's it. Chief Burke, anything else with yourself?
Set?
Very good. Well, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you at town meeting. You can expect it to be a safe experience, so please be courteous and be safe out there. Thank you.